Alex Answer here, October 11th, 2015. I've adjusted the settings, hardware and software, so this video should not be out of sync. The problem is within society. We may see acts of government corruption, but ultimately we have to look at society, how society views itself, and whether aspects of society, especially those that are involved in enforcing draconian rules and regulations, we have to look at and examine which aspects of society are unfortunately invested in self-hate. When people are led astray from who they really are, they begin to see things in the world as outside of themselves. And they fall, unfortunately, into these boxes of self-identity. And unfortunately, many people still on the earth, seems to be a consistent pattern of human psychology. Many people today still insist in putting other people in boxes, specifically at times boxes that they have already deemed to be a threat to them, groups they already see as their mortal enemy. Fortunately, the human species suffers from this psychosis. It almost seems to be hardwired into our DNA. I think that true consciousness evolution relates to evolving beyond those programs within the body. And there's ways that these programs that are programmed into us in today's day and age as a certain way that they manifest in today's modern woman, in today's modern man. And so it's important for people to understand also that the level of hatred that you're seeing coming from those that don't want to see others live in freedom, it's coming from an energy frequency place. Let us not get caught up in the personalities, but let us look at the pattern that we're seeing, and the patterns that we see crossing national territories or lines, the patterns that we're seeing across the ages or cycles or epochs, the periods in which governments are imposing greater and greater levels of control over its people. And this is not the first time that human society has dealt with a war on off-the-grid living. Much of civilization itself, the New World Order, for example, is the end result of aspects of many successful battles in pushing human beings onto modern contemporary reservations, also known as the grid. So it's important for people to understand there's an aspect of society that is acting as if it is not thinking for itself, acting as if it's on autopilot. Those members of society that have invested themselves and invested their energy and their focus and their attentions towards telling others that they don't have rights. And now there are scores of people on the planet that, to make a living for themselves and their families, the babies that they are bringing into this world, unfortunately, there are too many that earn their paycheck stealing from others, taking from others, and enforcing unjust rules and regulations upon others. That is where their energy comes from. So you have a vampire epidemic on the planet right now. Jobs created simply to vampire on someone else. That way they can get fed, they can get paid, so on and so forth. They can be rewarded with the temporary moments of pleasure by engaging in the materialistic world. This is the world as it is today, and will continue to be. And we are coexisting in that world as individuals, as free men and women that are trying to cut our own way in this world where so much has been corrupted, where so much has been contaminated. And this is an individual shift. There may be bubbles popping up here and there of off-grid communities or people working to operate outside the US dollar system and outside any other world reserve currency and outside of digital currency, things like Bitcoin. There's many people that want to get down to a more down-to-earth reality. And those people are going to have to find ways of overcoming their own programming. Because if people can do that, overcome their own programming to be at odds with other people, if people are able to work together and cross political beliefs, and this is actually a fairly deep conversation when it comes to that, because society also has some serious flaws in the way that it perceives what is valuable, and who is a threat, who is a liability. People that are controversial, people that, and I know a little bit about this, come out strong trying to expose corruption in an area, may alienate those that are more invested in social acceptance. Huge trap. There's a huge trap in policing yourself and your group to a point where everything is about being politically correct and everything is custom tailored about pleasing other people or impressing council members or people, anyone at all, for any reason. And so that is the one trap that society has in coming together in a sociopathic world where most of the people are against us. They're against our freedom. They're against our sovereignty. They're afraid of the word sovereignty. And they're invested in holding up the system. The only way the people could topple such a system is to cross racial lines, is to cross the boundaries of nationalistic belief, your love or hatred of a president, crossing class boundaries. You know, there are people banding together of a certain economic class in Costilla County, and there are certain people that would come together as a team to ward off some sort of tyrannical regulation in a higher income neighborhood where neighbors of a certain class that are in a certain demographic. But we need to be able to transcend thinking that, well, unless that affects me directly, it doesn't affect me. You know, that we do the whole thing. Well, first they came for the Jews and I wasn't a Jew. And then they came for this group and I wasn't of that group. So on and so forth. We have to transcend racial, political, class, and other forms of division if the people that want to live in freedom want to see a successful movement or a group of people work together. It has to be done outside of all these controlled systems. Bernie Sanders ain't coming to the rescue. Vladimir Putin ain't coming to the rescue. Donald Trump isn't coming to the rescue. Hillary Clinton is not coming to the rescue. No new political party with any ism at the end of it is coming to the rescue. We have to come to our own rescue, and people have to deal with the fact that they have been divided from their fellow man and woman. You know, a lot of people may look at a single man and a couple, and because people feel good about family and they like to see a happy relationship where people are in love in a world where there's so much divorce, people may look at the couple and see that couple as the main issue that matters. What happens to the couple and the family? While single men, perhaps it's instinctual within human species. What's the value in a single man? It's family that counts, that matters. And because of that thinking that some people have fallen into, because family is beautiful. But unfortunately, the reality is, because someone's single or a single male, they're not necessarily less valuable. But unfortunately, the case is you have lots of disenfranchised single men that have been thrown out by society, especially those that are older, whose jobs have been replaced by machines and other factors. You know, we have the ongoing gender warfare situation, limited resources, and people in a sinking Titanic ship rearranging the chairs and tables, people being taken out one by one, but never coming together and realizing what's happening to us all and the dangers of this. Let me just worry about me as the Titanic sinks mentality. So we are each individually responsible for our own freedom. We can't expect anybody to come to our rescue. No collective shift in consciousness at the same time. We've got to be willing to transcend those illusions of separation in order for people to work together, because the fact of the matter is we're outnumbered greatly. And there has been far too many people out there making wild declarations that the world's waking up, the country's waking up, the bankers are about to be arrested, the $1 trillion lawsuit, you know. And then on the other end, you have people also, as I've mentioned in other videos, freaking out about asteroids and certain things that have not come to pass. People predicting end times events. Many of them were predicted in this last month, the month before this, in September of 2015. And all it's done is just drain people's energy. All these people supposedly awake, not actually coming together with other people. I'm going to keep putting this out there. I'm tired of seeing people try to skirt around their own self-responsibility. I'm tired of people falling into the mind control trap thinking their only enemy, or, you know, the only threat to them is Muslim extremism, completely diverting the attention about what's going on with their own government, what's happening to their own people, the American people, living the American refugee experience. That's the real evolution in consciousness on a collective one, if there is one. And this is a good place to close. A real collective shift in consciousness, to me, is seeing widespread disgust at the unnecessary murder of innocents around the world. When that happens, yeah, then I'd say we're at a collective shift in consciousness. But what we can do, what is more within our power, is to do what we can do as individuals to connect people around the world, to be networkers, to be providers of truth and information. I'm using YouTube to put out a message, and it's going out there, and it's going to be received by a number of different people. Who knows how many? Because it's important that these perspectives be shared. It's important that the dialogue stay alive. And if we're gifted with technology, YouTube, websites, and other means to stream to you free thought, free thinking patterns, then we should use those tools that are available to us and be grateful for them every second and every step along the way. I'm Alex Hansry, sign off from Alamosa, Colorado.